Welcome back to my channel. Now, first of all, I haven't posted a video for a while, but can I say, I cannot believe I have 15 subscribers. That makes me happy. But more importantly, I realize I cannot stop. I cannot stop documenting and shooting videos about the watch that I have and the current journey that I'm on. Because there are others in this hobby that I not just can influence, but most importantly, I can share my joy about those pieces. Now, as you see what I'm holding in my hands, you wouldn't be clicking on this vid without knowing those watches. So you know them already. So why is Felix talking about them today? Now, let me start with the story. I got into this hobby around 2018 when I bought my first Seiko 5 Sport with the 4-hour movement. That watch was actually bought as a gift for my father-in-law. And what happened after that is he never had, same like me, he never had an automatic movement before. So he was complaining that, hey, the watches stopped running after a couple of days when I put it down. I prefer a watch that was the battery. So you know what? I took that 5 Sport back and I fell in love with it within the 24 hours of having it. The rest was history, and Seiko was the brand that I've been following ever since. Now, the white dial, the SARB033, was a watch that I bought for my wife in the beginning of COVID. When I just, started researching about which models to buy. Of course, I want to buy something really nice for her. And I bought this watch for 400 USD from Amazon. And you know what? She's not a watch lover. She doesn't wear watch all the time. But every time when she goes out for meeting, for business purposes, I always set the time for her for this SARB033, and I put it on for her. And then classics speak for itself. And you know what? A couple years later, now this one never left the collection, and now we have the SARB033 in the collection. After having about a dozen or half a dozen of Seiko watches, mainly prospects, I've collected the SARB035. About a couple months ago, I collected a SARB007, the Alpinist. Now I have this SARB033. And I just want to make this video to share my thoughts about this piece and why I think you should grab one. Go research, check on eBay every couple of days or your local Facebook market. There are people selling it. And if you can grab one at a reasonable price, and I think you have a classic, forever keeping piece in your collection. There are plenty of videos on YouTube made by fantastic and legendary watch reviewers about this watch in terms of its design, its function, its simplicity. So I'm not going to brag too much on top of that, as they have made it very clear why it is a cult following Seiko model. But just in my humble opinion of the last couple years of Seiko collection and sort of watch journey, I'm still very new to the game. But I just think if you are a watch lover and if you like the brand, and most importantly, if you're willing to spend 400 USD or more on a watch, on any watches, I believe you should grab this one before you buy anything else. That's right. It is a pretty bold statement, but let me explain to you why. Now, if you're looking at the existing line of Seikos, if you're spending about 400 USD or 450 USD on a brand new watch, that's probably the street price for a Prospex King Turtle line. I will push that far. You probably can get a secondary use great condition of limited Seiko models, the total models, if you're following those, limited edition that, again, a lot of followers. 450 will get you halfway, literally half of the budget to SPB 147, the one that I have, or the 62 or 63 Masters Recreation. Same can be said, will be half of the cost for the Willard X line, the Willard reinterpretation. Of course, you can buy a brand new Monster, you can buy a brand new Tuna with a couple changes in your pocket. Now, if you're looking at the Presage line, 400, what can get you a nice Presage cocktail? You will have some money left in the pocket, probably, depending on which colorway of the crocodile you're looking at, cocktail you're looking at. They're very popular as well. So from a money perspective, you're not looking at spending more on a SARB if you look at the current prices. There are crazy prices to mind for brand new model, for sure. There are very limited quantity of them, north of $1,000. I've seen ads. Extremely good condition. You're looking at spending probably 500 or 600 USD or more. That's what they're asking for. But for a decent condition such as this one, with the daily scratches, of course, everything's depending on how lucky you can get with, and depending on the buyer. You can look at the quality, you can look at the condition. I think condition for this, I would personally rank this as a 7 out of 10. I think this watch was produced in 2018, but based on the age of the watch, I think this is fairly good, because with all those scratches, I've never done it myself, but I think about yesterday, is you can polish them up. It shouldn't be that hard. I will make further videos about this, because my plan is to have all the watches line up, and then we'll probably buy a card polishing kit, and then just learn the range of motion to get all polished up. You're not polishing to aim for 100% brand new watches, but it will give you another life to your existing piece. So from a condition wise, as I said, if you're buying conditions like this without major scratches, without major dents, if you look on the log, without major dents, 400 to 450 USD is achievable. Okay, it's achievable. So you're not spending more money on this. You're not spending more money on this because you're not buying brand new. You're buying a used, good condition SARB. Now, the reason why I think you should buy these rather than all the other versions that I spoke about is because they are still in the production. You can always buy them, and there will be new colorway, new slightly change of material or the dark color that be released by Seiko on annual basis or 6 monthly basis. But this one will never be made again. You have to understand that. And let's talk about it. Why do I think you should buy it? Okay, let me just finish off by my couple of key points. Now, it's always about the demand and supply, because if you like it, you keep it, and for whatever reason, you like to sell it one day. You don't want to lose too much money on the watch. I know it sounds ridiculous, right? Watches all investment products now, no matter we're looking at 10,000, 100,000, or $500 watches. But losing money is not a great feeling to have. And plus, there are knowledge to be had. I mean, if people spending $400 or $500 buying a couple of fashion watches and not looking at this, it's not because they made that mistake. It's just because they haven't learned the game of watches yet. They haven't learned the brand significance in the horology market. Now, from a demand and supply perspective, as we all know, Seiko is going up in brand value. Grand Seiko is going up in brand value. They are on a trajectory of going up. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Of course, the brand can go through up and downs, but overall, I think it's going up in the recognition perspective. Of course, they do deserve it. There's no doubt about it. Now, the design of this piece is classic, because you've got a three hand, and you will be forever favored. Okay, it's classic. So from demand perspective, the demand for such a piece that producing by Seiko is increasing. I don't think there's any arguments to be had there. I'll give you another example. If Seiko announced that they will discontinue the 62 mass interpretation, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I can guarantee those models' value will hold, of course, not against their retail, but against their street prices. So the demand for the brand is definitely there, okay? Especially considering how many different variant and models they produce, the demand is definitely there for the brand. Now, from supply perspective, as we all know, this SARB033, the 035, they're discontinued. I've got the SARB017 actually. I'm having the boutique. You have a quote on that because that watch is running about 40 seconds faster. This one actually running pretty good. It was about 5 to 7 seconds slower in a day. As we know, they're not going to make this model again. And the most important thing is they will probably never, ever to make reissues about this. The way that I think about this is if I'm in the management of Seiko, of course there are decisions to be had throughout the hierarchy of the corporation before a decision can be made. It's because if you see the dial, this one is without the prospect. It's without any logos of Seiko 5s. Of course, in the 5 range, Presages, there's no Presage on it. So I think the moment they release or make exactly the same or reinterpretation or reissue of this watch, they will lose. They will lose the demand for all their Presage line. As you see what I mean, right? So they will not kill their own sales. It will be a stupid thing to do. So really, those watchmakers, this one in particular, they are stuck with having a model like this forever discontinued. And you know what? It's building a great foundation for their followers. And people who reach out to the brand will like to acquire those ones in their collection and have a forever piece and talk about it. I think that's a great foundation to have from a goodwill value perspective of the brand. And there are limited supply of this. There's no doubt about it. There are plenty of people selling, but compared to the demand, it is not that much. Okay, so again, my conclusion is if you can grab one of those at between $4 to $450 USD, hopefully today's economic environment will help the watch buyer, just like when you're buying a property now as a buyer's market. Hopefully you can get a good deal under $450. I'm hoping as less as possible. Of course, you want to get the ones from a good buyer, hopefully trustworthy buyer that didn't, sort of ban too much about the watch, and the watch should come with all the boxes and papers, and just enjoying it. Is a very lovely piece of time machine, of timepiece. When you're putting them together, you can tell you have a white and you have a black. It is great. I had a pleasure of having the white birch, the Grand Seiko on my wrist the other day when I popped into boutique, for the repairs. You know what this watch reminds me of? The indices. The indices are so similar. Of course, it's not on the same level, but they reflect lights, as you can see on the black one now. They reflect lights in an amazing way. You can see that black 12 o'clock indices. There are three. It's like there are three light reflection area where it's beautifully reflecting the light. Wow, I'm just having so much fun with the SARBs, and I think, think about it. If you have the budget for it, between $4 to $450, go start looking now. Local Facebook market, eBay's, okay. Of course, on the forums, if you're in US, of course, you're using Reddit. Hopefully you can find one, okay? And hopefully you enjoy my sharing about why I picked this up and why I think that you should keep it if you can. Okay, guys, I'll see you in the next vids, and hope you guys are well. Bye for now.